Hi, it's Kate from the Forward Line. I am back with week 2 of Sew the Trends. If you haven't seen week 1 yet, make sure you go and watch that before you watch this. We'll get you all kind of clued up on different types of fabrics, the colours, and I will take you around the shops with me. Last week we covered outerwear and now we're going to cover everything else. So I'm going to start with dresses. Now there were quite a few dress options. When it took a while to find dresses. They didn't seem to be a big feature of this season, but I've done a little edit of the things that I found in enough shops that I felt were kind of enough of a trend. And again, as I was saying last week, it really feels like it's more about the fabric almost, and there's the kind of base silhouettes, and it seems to be more about the fabric. So I called these a midi dress because they all were kind of a similar length. Quite a lot of them had buttons down the front or a zip up the front or a V. Most of them had a tie around the waist. Some of them didn't. But that sort of feel, I think those kind of options give you a kind of good indication. Again, kind of dark tonal colours. You can see actually a little bit of print here, but I actually didn't find that many printed ones when I was out in the shops. So pattern wise, I've got 3 really great options. I think the one that feels the closest, I would say, to what I found in the shops is the Closet Core Knix dress. It had the button down the front, it had a cinched in waist, the shape of the sleeve felt quite similar. The thing that it has that feels less trend based is that it has quite a few tiers of gathering on the skirt. I would say that you might want to pare that down and remove one of them, but obviously, you know, it's personal preference. But that one would be a really great option. For the sort of slightly loosey goosey kind of shirt dress, I thought that the Iron Patterns Marty dress worked really nicely. You could add a belt to this if you wanted to cinch it in at the waist, but this sort of shape I thought was really great. And this one has a proper collar because a few of the dresses I found were kind of proper shirt dress options. And then finally, and I would say made in an appropriate print fabric as well, the leopard print, the Heidi dress from Sew Over It, sorry. So this is a wrap dress, and again, it's just with that V shape felt quite similar, long sleeves. Theirs is cut a bit longer, you might want to shorten it ever so slightly, but yeah, that sort of feel and the kind of floatiness of it felt really good. So next up we've got the short flare, as I'm calling it. So quite a few short dresses, quite a lot of them were cinched at the waist, and then a few of them, like the Whistles one you can see, were quite almost kind of flared from the bust. But yeah, crucially cut quite short. I was actually thinking that this was going to be really hard to find patterns for this, but I've got 3 really great options. So the first one is the Veronica Tucker Audrey dress. I love this. So if you don't have the belt, it's quite loose fitting dress, but the belt kind of cinches it in and gives that feeling like some of the other dresses. This one is cut quite high on the neckline, but you could add a V into it what you want if you wanted to, or even lower it slightly at the front. But I felt this felt really nice. Another really great option would be the Tilly and the Buttons Marnie dress. This again is quite loose fitting, it's quite high necked, it's got some really lovely details, and particularly love the kind of bell shaped sleeve, which I saw a lot of. So this one felt like a really, really great option. Then finally we've got the Ella dress from Silver Saga Patterns. Now you can see actually that it's cut like to sit kind of midi length, but I think actually if you cut it off short it would then work really perfectly. And some of the options I showed you, they were quite low cut, and this dress has that kind of lower V to it, so I think it would work really nicely as a kind of short flare option. So that would be the only sort of tweak that you would need to make to the dresses. Then we have got the boxy shirt dress. I saw loads of these. And I was quite surprised because I feel like we're going, maybe it's just because I'm old, but I was like, it's quite quite cold. I don't know if I want to wear something that short, but there were loads of them, and actually I really liked it. Quite a lot of them are made in like denim, so quite kind of heavy canvas type fabric, so there's quite a lot of structure. Then there were also, you can see the whistles and the Suzanne option were made in kind of a viscose floaty feel to them. So again, in terms of fabric, you kind of pick which you prefer. So I've got 3 options for this. The first one is the Snitchen Jale dress. Now, this is made in a very, very drapey kind of viscose type fabric. I think if you made this as something really structured, you'd instantly get the feel of some of those dresses. I liked that it was, the placket was hidden on it, which I thought was really nice. And it's got a kind of quite relaxed collar, kind of camp style collar. And the kind of big boxy sleeve as well. You could either cut it short like some of the denim ones or keep it as is. So that was my first one. Matchy Maker's overshirt. I thought this would work really nicely as a dress. You would probably need to lengthen it a little bit, but not a huge amount, maybe like 2-3 inches, and wear it buttons up, and it would be a really sweet kind of little shirt dress option. And I quite like that this one doesn't have a collar either, so I thought that would work nicely. And then the Lenoline Diana dress, which is kind of a mix of the two of them. It's got a proper collar on it. It's got, as you can see, quite a dramatic kind of sloped hem on it, but obviously I would kind of cut that shorter and straight across. But that, with the big kind of oversized pockets as well, felt like a really nice option. So those are my boxy shirts. Last but not least, in the dresses, these kind of, I've called them simple dresses. There were a lot of this. This to me is like the core shape of dresses for this winter. Quite fitted, quite very simple, but with like an interesting detail. So you can see that the And Other Stories pink dress has got that kind of ruching around the waist and up the neckline. The Jigsaw one is cut interestingly, and it's got a seam down the centre front, which is quite unusual. The Mango one, you can see there's lots of gathering into the waist. And then the Cos one, again, is another really kind of simple one with a couple of interesting pleats around the neckline. So very kind of pared back options. So I've picked 3. The first one is a woven pattern, and the other 2 are knit patterns, because I feel like to get that kind of beautiful detail, there weren't a huge amount of woven options within the patterns available. So actually the jersey worked really nicely. So the woven one is the Puff and Pencil boat net dress. You can see it's a really lovely, simple dress, completely kind of perfect shape, and felt very similar to the things on the high street. The Juliana Martes Vero dress is perfect as well, because it's got this really interesting ruching detail that kind of goes all the way down the front of the dress. I actually think that the fabric that they've used it looks amazing, but it's almost so busy that you can't see the kind of detail on it, but it literally has a kind of line of ruching going all the way down the centre front. It's really, really great pattern, actually. I think it's a good one. And then last but not least is the Style Art Karina dress. Now, first off, I would say that I would lengthen this and make it midi style, but it had that really lovely kind of drape detail at the waist. And again, if it's in jersey, you have it's a lot more forgiving in terms of fit. But yeah, this one felt like a really good option. The shape of the neck and the little kind of cap sleeve was really close to lots of things on the high street. So those 3 I felt like really ticked the box on your kind of simple dresses. So as we move into, I guess, tops now, the first top style we've got is waistcoats. Again, this carried on from last season, really, really big everywhere. Lots and lots of these, particularly matching trouser sets with your waistcoat. And there were lots of these around in summer in linen, and now they're kind of moving now more into kind of autumn, winter wools. So you can see there are 2 different styles here. The one, the And Other Stories and Mangoes one, is quite a traditional shape waistcoat. And then the other two we've got from Mango and Other Stories were these really interesting, it's almost like a waistcoat mixed with a top. You can see that it's got buttons down the front, it's got a square neckline, and then these very little simple straps. So I did really well on the waistcoat. The second kind of top waistcoat I didn't do as wonderfully, but I've got a really good pattern which I think you could hack if you love this shape. Any indie designers out there, please could we have one of these sometime soon? Thank you. That would be great. So fab standard waistcoat, the Merchant of Mills Miller, tried and tested. Everyone went absolutely bananas for this. It's a lovely shape pattern based on a traditional men's waistcoat. It's got all the kind of details that you expect, and it's absolutely kind of perfect. So for the other type of waistcoat, the one that we don't have the pattern for, I did spend a long time looking. What I've done is I've got a pattern that I think you could hack. I think the Tessuti Claudia dress has a really good starting point. One, it's a dress, so you've got kind of more fabric to kind of play with, or kind of more pattern to kind of tweak, but it's got that those little straps and that square neckline. So all really it would be doing is cutting it down the centre front, adding on some fabric so that you can create plackets for buttons, and then you can then have it finishing at whatever point. You can see that the ones in the shop they kind of finish slightly further and then have a longer bit, you know, kind of, I'm not sure quite what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. There's a button and then there's some fabric at the bottom. So yeah, I thought that would be a good option. If anyone has any suggestions, I am all ears. So next up on the top, and when I say I was struggling on tops, this is what I mean. Like, so many basics this season. Simple tops. These sort of very tight, neutral fitted tops were absolutely everywhere. Different necklines. You can see this jigsaw one is actually a double layered piece. It's actually a vest and a long sleeve top. I did see that kind of layering options as well. So I've got two really nice top patterns, lovely simple patterns. The first one is a Sew House 7 Skyline Tee. I picked this because it's really fitted and it's got a kind of really nice neckline to it, and I thought it would work really well as a layering piece. You know, you make it now kind of a lovely oaty sort of colour, it'd be perfect. The other option is the I Am Pattern Chantel. So this feels closer to a Breton, but it feels quite fitted, but not quite as tight as some of the other patterns, or some of them that I showed you. But I thought this would be a sort of nice compromise, because I know some people don't like wearing really, really tight things. So I felt this was like a kind of the middleman. Fitted, but not super tight. Right, now we're into shirts, and there were two very clear kind of, I guess it's more kind of fabrication. So both styles of these, I would say, were quite fitted, or quite kind of, sorry. Both of these styles weren't that fitted, quite boxy and roomy. One style is made in a crisp cotton, and one style is made in a silk satin or drapey viscose, but a lot of satin shirts. Satin shirts are very much in this season. So I've got two options for you. For each variant. So the Fibre Mood Carry Blouse, really nice, big. So this is for your kind of crisp cotton version. I like this, that you can wear it open or shut, buttons up the front, but that really ticks the big boxy kind of almost like boyfriend style shirt. Same with the Barra Studio Olivia. Again, it had all the kind of details. They're very similar. I just sometimes like to have two options for you guys. I feel like the more options, the better. Then on the sort of, I guess, the silky shirts, I've got two options. The Atelier Dupe Este shirt. I put this one in because this one is slightly looser fitting than the other one, but it's a really popular pattern, and I thought it would, you know, they've made it in a slinky fabric, and I think it obviously that would work perfectly. And then the Vicky So's Kaya blouse, which was slightly more fitted than the Atelier Dupe one, and I just thought it's nice again to have a kind of a couple of things to pick between. So that's all of the tops. Then we are moving on to skirts. Now these skirts featured quite heavily this season, which I was sort of surprised by. But yeah, so mini and pencil skirts, lots and lots of these. As I said in the first video, quite leather heavy, I would say, these, particularly the longer kind of pencil skirt, really did feature a lot of these in kind of leather and PU leather. And then these like super cute little mini skirts. And actually I love the whistle short leather skirt. I think it's really cute. So a couple of options for you. So for them, if you love the mini, the Bella Loves patterned Dolce skirt is absolutely perfect. It's a really nice pattern, nice and simple, little darts at the waist, but yeah, quite a nice simple pattern. If you like a mini skirt and a pencil skirt, the Tilly and the Buttons Ramona would work really well because it has a pencil and a mini. It's got this nice little pocket details, which I actually thought would look really nice in the leather. So if you like both, that's the one to go for. And then if you like the kind of pencil longer one, the Atelier Duke Cocoa skirt, which is a new pattern, I thought would work really nicely as your kind of longer pencil skirt. I think I would probably cut it slightly longer than the Atelier Duke one, just extend it a little bit and then you're absolutely good to go. Next up on the skirts, now I read about this style, kilts, and I thought there is no way that those are in the high street. There is no way that people are wearing kilts, and I was very much wrong. They were everywhere. Now, I had to wear a kilt at school, so I will not be partaking in this trend, but I do think they looked really great. They have had a bit of an update. They're not kind of, well no, they're quite similar. So they came in sort of two variations. You can see the Bowden version here, a kind of midi length one, kind of quite classic in your kilt department. And then there are kind of short pleated versions. So the Topshop and Other Stories. Now I appreciate these aren't proper kilts, but they had that sort of same feel where it's stitched down and then to part and then like the pleats are released. The And Other Stories version is really nice actually, because half of it was pleated and half of it wasn't, and it felt like an elevator kilt. It was just, I thought it was a really clever kind of pattern. Anyway, so I've got two options for you on the kilt front. The first one, if you want to make very similar to the Bowden one, it's a folkwear 152 Scottish kilt, very like close to the traditional one. The detail that I would change is this pattern only has one belt buckle, not belt buckle, kilt buckle I guess, but I would add two because lots of the shops had two, which again makes it feel a bit more kind of fashiony I guess. Then if you like the short pleated one, the Friday Patting Company Bernadette skirt is so lovely. I'd forgotten how nice it was actually, and it's got this really cute little belt with pouch detail, which is so lovely as well. So those two would work really fantastically. Then we have got the slip and A-line skirt options. So the traditional slip skirt, which has been around now for quite a while, has had a slight change. Well, there's some of them that are still cut straight, but there are some of them that are very slightly flared at the bottom, which I quite like this Zara one, which were great. And then a kind of knitted A-line skirt. So quite a lot of these styled, particularly you can see the M&S and the Jigsaw one with boots. So pattern-wise for this, I kind of, if you like the really straight up slip, the Vicky So's Sarti skirt is perfect for this. I mean, I've spoken about this before in the past, but that to me is like a really good classic shape slip. If you want one that is ever so slightly flared at the bottom, the new Tessuti Fabrics Avery skirt works perfectly. It's actually 4 panels, this skirt, but it gives the kind of appearance of the slip with a little bit more kind of fabric. I really like the shape of this. And then I know I shouldn't use two from the same people, but their Mahalia skirt is perfect A-line skirt. It's made out of knit. It looks proportion wise absolutely bang on, and they've also styled it with boots, so you know, tick tick tick. So those are your kind of A-line and slips. Then we have got trousers. So this is the last bit, guys. You can relax. You can almost go and have a cup of tea, or probably by now it's going on so long, a gin and tonic. So first up, we've got the elasticated waist. This came with two different fabrications. So one kind of closer to a jogger, I guess, with made out of jersey, but some of them are made in a really interesting kind of ponte that actually look quite smart. And then there also were ones a bit like the M&S and the Topshop ones that were made in a cotton. So there were quite a lot of these, and you can see with the Zara and the Mango one, like tying into what we were talking about in the first episode with this sort of tonal dressing, you can see everything in the same colour. So what I have got, so the first option I've got, which I thought would work really nicely, is the Friday Pattern Company Seguro set. So this has got a tie waist, you can see elastic as well. The only thing I would do is probably lengthen them slightly. You can see that they've cut them kind of to crop at the ankle, but if you just made them a little bit longer, those ones would almost be perfect. So this is kind of ticking the box of the woven variety. And the Style Art Como knit pants I thought were really good options for the kind of smart jogger. These have been super, super popular. Loads of people have made them and really like them. Yeah, basically they don't look like a jogger, but they are. Again, I would maybe lengthen them just ever so slightly, maybe an inch or two, depending on what height you are, so that they're not sitting cropped. You want them kind of long-ish. So that is it for the kind of elasticated waist trouser. Then the other trouser that featured a lot was this sort of quite tailored straight leg trouser. You can see a lot of these, again, also fabrication. There are quite a lot of leather ones of these, which I think takes quite a ballsy person to wear those. But yeah, they're kind of straight, almost like a suit kind of trouser. So I've got two options for you. The first one is the Liesl & Co. Hollywood trousers. These have been like a pattern that loads of people have made and really, really loved. So I thought I'd put them in because they're kind of tried and tested and really great. You can see that they're cut quite straight. They're not too loose. I felt like the proportion of these were quite similar. If you want something a little bit baggier, I really loved the Vicky So's Karen trousers. They've got all the kind of details that you expect on a pair of kind of men's suit trousers, but they're not too kind of big. I feel like they just are kind of a little bit baggier than the Hollywood ones. So yeah, it's just a choice of which one you would prefer. So that is it from me. I hope that was useful and you found some really lovely stuff to sew, or, you know, go through your wardrobe, see what you've got, start putting things together for autumn. I love the change in season, and you can really kind of, you know, have a play with what you've got in your wardrobe and plan nice things to sew. So yeah, I'll be back soon with another video. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye.